Hello, you guys. Welcome to On Your Mind podcast. I am your host, Melissa de Loera. Welcome, whether you are new or a previous watcher. For my non-visual watchers, I actually changed up my space a bit. So right behind me, I have like a very vibrant purple light. I like to call it like an eerie type of purple to fit the vibes. And right next to me on my side table, I actually have a dog that it has a costume of a ghost and a jack-o'-lantern in its mouth. And I think it's so cute. I've honestly really been enjoying this October. I feel like it feels so nostalgic and so different, just like to how it felt back in the day. So really soaking that up. I've really been loving it. But I hope you guys are doing amazing. We're back full circle on a Tuesday. For this episode, we're actually going to be talking about friendships and their evolution over time. I know on Instagram, I did ask you guys a question and I will be sharing that with you guys here. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely do so. So next time on the next episode, you'll definitely be a part of it as well. So before we do get started, let's go ahead and cue the intro music. So kind of diving in, I feel like when it comes to the term friendships, there's a lot of meaning, there's a lot of emotions, as well as energy behind this word. It can mean different things to all of us, whether that's good, whether that's bad, or even, we've had our fair share of bad friendship. So with this episode, I kind of want to go through the whole evolution of how it is with friendships. And I know with me, whenever I moved to Texas, I was a teenager. So when I moved, I didn't really make friends over there. I definitely feel like that was a time for me to grow my solitude. So I never really focused on that. Also knowing I didn't want to stay there forever. So moving back to my hometown, I came back as an adult and things were definitely different. We're all in different parts of our lives. And I just had those friendships that I've had since growing up, as well as, high school friendships as well. And I feel like those type of friendships are definitely different than the ones we have now because they are kind of a friendship that's based off of comfort. And not saying all of them, because I do have some friendships that I still have from high school, but most of them are from comfort. And I feel like growing up, it's very easy to make friends in high school because you're kind of placed in the same atmosphere and you kind of see them every day and you're like, you know what, you're pretty cool, let's become friends. Compared to as adults now, it's a little tricky. And I do feel, again, not all, but most friendships growing up, they lack that depth of what a friendship really is. And I feel like the dynamic of friendship just tends to change over the years because we're all in such different paths, whether one's getting married, one's having kids, one's moving away, we're just all in different paths. So I still vividly remember my first ever adult friendship, and this one transpired through Instagram. They contacted me and we just hit it off really well. We had a lot in common as well as not so much in common. I do want to make a little disclaimer, like I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm not going to talk bad about any past friendships. That's just not my space to do so, and that's their story. But I do want to use this as just kind of a guidance of what the evolutions of friendships has been for me. So with this friendship, as I said, we hit it off well, and just kind of moving forward, I just felt like there was always just something wrong. We didn't just flow. And I know when it came to, not going to say the name of this virus, but whenever it happened, I know a lot of people lost their jobs. I lost my job. I had to move out of my apartment into my parents' house. And with this friendship, I know this was the exact same time that I was grieving a loved one. And this was the first time I ever heard these words. And they mentioned to me how their needs as a friend aren't being met. And honestly, at that time, I had nothing to really give in regards to friendships because I was just kind of making sure my ship wasn't sinking in this very hard time. And the thing about me, I know we can all relate that whenever at least when I'm going through something, I like to isolate myself. I'll come back out when it's sunshine and rainbows, but me, I will go ahead and kind of distance myself and kind of be a little quiet when I'm not doing so well. So whenever they express those needs to me, I honestly appreciated, they're communicating their needs. They just kind of mentioned we're not spending enough time together. We don't talk as much. I don't interact too much on their social medias and just different things like that. And I know they also mentioned to me how they relied a lot of their happiness onto me. And that was just a lot to soak up at that time for me. So something I realized about this friendship was there was always so much false expectations. I feel like this person had such high expectations for me, and it just didn't work because, as I mentioned, I love my solitude. That's where I flourish the most. I find my creativity in me being by myself. So whenever this happened, this definitely makes you think of determining the type of friends you have and the type of friends that you want. So for example, I had a friend where we made plans and constantly over and over they would reschedule on me. It was actually 5 times, but who's counting, right? So 5 times in a row, they did that. I know each time they were for a coffee shop. And with that, I'm a very understanding person and I will 100% get life gets busy. We have our own lives. It is what it is. We'll see each other when we see each other. But gotta love social media because when I would get on there, I would see them having a blast with other people. They would go out and grab drinks with their coworkers and always hanging out with them. So I'm like, she has time for other people. She just doesn't have time for me. And that's where I kind of took a step back without really saying anything and realized what are the type of friends that I want to have. Because don't get me wrong, I love a good cocktail, getting cute and yapping, right? At the same time, I know the type of friends I want are the ones that do go to the coffee shop with me, go to the gym with me, or we have a conversation over something that really does improve the both of us. Those are definitely the type of friendships I want to have. So that kind of goes in with the question I asked you guys on Instagram. I asked you guys, what's one quality you value most in a friend? So with this question, I did see a lot of the same answers. So I did write those down and kind of calculated what are the highest qualities that we truly do value in friendships. And the number one answer I got out of a lot of you is loyal and trustworthy. I feel like that's so important, not only in friendships, but we also expect that in relationships. I feel like when it comes to just having someone who's trustworthy, you do want someone who feels like home and that you can confide in. Because when we have someone who we can trust and is trustworthy, we tend to be able to put our walls down. And in a world that really does make us put our walls up, I feel like that's just such a refreshing feeling. So I definitely agree with that. And I know the most second answer that I got the most of was honesty. Giving me the truth when I don't want to hear it. We don't always have to agree. So I believe we do have certain friends. We do have the friends that are yesers that just tell us what we want to hear. And then we have the friends that keep it real with us and tell us what we don't want to hear when we really need to hear it. And we tend to map these people out as monsters. And then we think the yesers are the ones that really have our side when it's actually the total opposite. The people who aren't scared to tell you your truths are the people who have your best interest at heart. Compared to these friends that will tell you what you want to hear, I feel like those are definitely the type of friends that want to see you do good, but never better. Once I kind of started differentiating that, I do realize like what actually a true friend is. And I do appreciate that honesty. And I know someone said we don't always have to agree. That's something I had to learn over the years with friendships is just kind of like the yesers, like they're always agreeing with you. I think I tend to like whenever I disagree with a friend because they also challenge my mindset and seeing something a different way. And whenever you're open to that, you don't tend to get so defensive over things and realizing that at the end of the day, it just matters about the friendship. We don't always have to agree. So agree to disagree. So a lot of you also mentioned how someone who is supportive and encouraging is something that you value in a friendship. And I feel like, as I mentioned, we're all in such different phases of our lives. As far as it goes with support, I like to definitely visualize it kind of like if you're running a marathon. As you're running, you have the people on the sidelines kind of supporting, right? So cheering you on, like, you got this, like, keep going. I feel like that's just how support is with friendships. it gives you that extra push to make it to the finish line. So no matter what you're going through in life, that support really does push you to go ahead and accomplish what you really want to do out of this lifetime. I feel like the last two do go hand in hand, which is someone who's understanding and empathetic. Those two things require someone to put themselves in your shoes. So that tends to give a feeling of, you get me. And whenever someone truly is empathetic and understanding, there won't be so much complications of taking things out of proportion and things like that, because at the end of the day, you tend to understand each other, and that's a pretty big dynamic to have in a friendship. I really loved all of your guys' entries in regards to that. I feel like I totally agree on that, and those are very strong points to have. After the falling out of that friendship, it definitely made me realize not only a lot about what I want out of a friendship and the type of people I want around me, but it also made me take a good look at myself, self-evaluate. Let's normalize checking ourselves, because I know when I did that, it made me realize that my red flag as a friend was I would self-sabotage. And it made me realize as well that I had to heal my fear of abandonment. So the way I would sabotage is I would push people away first before they could ever think about leaving me or anything like that. So in that way, I would use words that I honestly, genuinely didn't mean, just to be able to push them away. And that's honestly so toxic. And I honestly am not proud of that by any means. And I've put the work towards that. But at the same time, words are so powerful, more than we know, to the point where once they're out there, you can't take them back. Like, yes, we could apologize for the words we've said, but once they've been out there, they've already been heard. And that's something I really had to do the work. And after this friendship, that's where I spent my time alone. This was my healing phase. And it was for, I would say, a couple years too. I was just so closed off. I didn't want to make any new friends. I was so scared of ever letting anyone in. So I kind of just fell off. So I stopped posting on social media. I kept to myself. And I would get social anxiety when it came to meeting anyone. So on my 2024 vision board, I did add a photo of two girls sharing, I believe it's champagne, a glass of champagne, and you could tell they're just having the time of their life. And I added it on my vision board and said, I want to manifest some genuine connections. And I did go ahead and write down what I wrote on there. And it says, I want to manifest a friendship that's honest, where I can be myself, supportive, loyal, that doesn't feel forceful. So that's just kind of what I put on my vision board this year. And it's so crazy because I knew me putting that on there, I would actually have to open up my soul to be open to these new connections. And once I did that and was actually open to it all, I honestly felt an energy shift around me. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt so different. And all these new connections started gravitating towards me and being exactly the type of connections that I wanted. Now, it didn't just happen just that easily. I also had to put in the work. And to be honest, we have to put ourselves out there. That's just how it is. And a part of that, the way I did so this year, was I joined my first ever cookbook club. That was honestly the first step. It was just a group of girls who wanted to get cookbooks and just kind of cook together. And I loved that idea so much. So shout out to Karen. She's the one who created that. And I joined it, and I'm honestly so happy I did. Every single girl in there I admire so much, and I could definitely see myself connecting with every single one of them in a personal level. So I did that, as well as joining a OK Girls Club, just kind of going there. It's just a group of girls who get together every month. That just kind of was the open door for me to be open to new friendships. And the thing as well is I had to realize that it all takes time. So being patient is such a big thing when it comes to creating friendships, because they do take time. And I actually wrote a quote, shocker, right? Me pulling out a quote for you guys. I really like this one, but it says, if you want to be everyone's friend, then you're not being a friend to yourself. And that's honestly huge to remember as well while you're going through this journey of making friends. It's because not everyone has to be your friend. And that's something I had to realize. Like, it's okay to have acquaintances and okay to have actual friends, because I used to always just try to be everyone's friend, but I realized that's doing more damage to myself than actually, instead of really just focusing on quality over quantity. And that's honestly my intake when it comes to all of that. And I feel like it's important to remember we genuinely are who we hang out with. And that's something I truly believe in. Not only just that, but it is scientifically proven. You know, you could look it up. It's true, because once you start hanging out with someone, it's just scientifically proven that you'll start picking up little habits of that person. So I feel like just kind of realizing what are the friends that I really want in this lifetime and evolution, and letting them just flourish naturally is the big picture when it comes to adult friendships. And I've honestly really come to love and admire. So that's just kind of my intake when it comes to friendships and just the evolution of them all. I hope this episode has pushed you, motivated you to put yourself out there in uncomfortable situations and really make connections with people out there. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I swear all of this means a lot, and I've read a lot of your comments, feedbacks, and everything, and I've been getting back to you all, and it honestly pushes me for the next episode. Like, we're on episode 4. So crazy. But other than that, you guys, that's basically it. I'll see you guys next Tuesday, and don't forget to stay mindful. Have a great day. Bye.